from the book of Proverbs 25, and we've been kind of teaching around the theme, the land, the man, and the plan. And I felt a need to come back to that place to just help you understand the synchronicity of God. There's some things that only God could do, when he does them, how he does them, they're irrefutable. You just cannot deny that there's a power at work. I don't know about your life. There's some things that have happened in this last season. Nobody but God could have done that. That's why we start off this morning. You're God alone. You're unshakable. You're unchangeable. Nobody can top what you do. Amen. And it is just a wonderful thing to know that God is looking out for you before you started looking out for him. Proverbs 25:2 says, "It is the glory of God to conceal a thing, but the honor of kings is to search out a matter." So I am grateful today that over the years, and this is coming up into our 36th year, that God has just taken us succinctly through a journey, and he's been revealing to us what I call that glory that has been concealed in me, concealed in you. I echo what Apostle says to us many times. You're a great people. There's nobody like you. Nobody has gone through what you've gone through, endured what you've endured. Amen. And you're still here. And you're still here. So that's worth something, that we're still here. Amen, amen, amen. All right. So what is it that God wants to conceal, that it's required that kings search out this matter? I'd like to begin by saying one of the very first things that he did was he gave us access. He gave us access to explore, to navigate into some of these realms. And if you've been with us over, I guess, the last season from about 2000, I guess, forward, we have been in some supernatural places. And we're still in them, all right? And they are enlarging themselves. We're calling it rooms because the rooms are vast. And even though the Bible talks about height and breadth and depth and length, when you get into one of those rooms, it is everlasting. Glory is everlasting. Mercy is everlasting. His goodness is everlasting. I mean, his faithfulness is everlasting. So if you ever got trapped in one of those rooms and felt, I just can't leave that spot, just stay there for a while. I'm reminded of one season that I had this encounter, and I found myself in a room, and I could not tell you where the room ended or began. It was just that vast, and it was flowing with water. It was flowing with life, and it was a very, very, very vivid picture that just brought such a refreshing to my life. So I'm praying today that this word brings a refreshing to you. So when I talk about changing our status, from Revelation chapter 1 and verse 6, "And it made us kings and priests unto our God and Father, to him be glory and dominion forever and ever." I'm a king and a priest. All right. Now, they did not send me a formal invitation to the funeral over in England, but I was there in spirit. Amen. And I just want you to know it's all going to come together real soon. And just as soon as they get that hooked up, I'm going to take all y'all with me. All right. Because the funds and the monies that's been set aside for the heirs is already there, and all we have to do is jump on the plane and go. All right, y'all think I'm messing. You watch. All right. We going. All right. So Romans 11 verse 33 declares this, and I'm probably going to get there before you get there. It said, "Oh, the depths of the riches, both of the wisdom and knowledge of God! How unsearchable are his judgments, and his ways past finding out." So if I go back and look over 36 years, I would have never come up with it like that. Matter of fact, I probably would have never plotted the journey the way he plotted the journey. All right, I would have skipped over some places, right? Knowing what I know now, I would have just moved some things out of the way or responded differently. But however, I'm understanding and valuing and appreciating the fact that the way he brought me is the way he brought me. The way he brought you and the way he brought you. And you don't have to have understanding of all the details right now. You just need to hold on. All right. So I'm speaking over here to my daughter. I don't know if y'all recognize her. This is the first time I've seen Storm. Now, nobody can mess with her but me. When she came in, I said, "Ooh, I could see myself." I don't know if y'all been watching it. I know y'all don't watch television, but that new Game of Thrones, with the people with the long white hair. So somebody told me, said, "Bishop, you can rock that." Yeah, I can rock it, but I don't want to grow it. So I know that you can go and get everything you want right now, and I'm just maybe for a few moments, if she let me, just get me a piece and just wear it in like this, down there like that. Just Yeah, and Mama Bling busted me out, asked me what was that thing wrapped around my head. I still love you though, Mama Bling. Don't drop your head now. You know you talk about me real bad. But his judgments are unsearchable, and his ways are passing out. So there are depths of his riches, of his wisdom, of his knowledge. There's so many things God wants to do and declare through us today. And I believe that as you travel with me, journey with me today, I just want to point out a few things that have happened along the way. All right. There has been a heavenly decree that was echoed before time, and it's found in the book of Isaiah chapter 6 and verse 3. It said the angels began to cry one another, and this declaration was made: holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. The whole earth is full of his glory. You know, I don't know about you, but we were created from the substance called earth. And God said, I have predestinated you to be full of glory. So I don't know about where you're going, but my destination is glory. And glory is that thing that God does in the earth realm that convinces everybody around us that God is at work and that he is God. Say with me, I'm destined for glory. All right. Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse 14 says, for the earth shall be filled with the knowledge of the glory. So God is trying to position you and I in places that people can see the glory of God in our lives. Which means that sometimes, Michelle, he's got to drop us in some dark places so people can see the light that's about ready to come out of it, right? Now, you wouldn't have chose that, not in a good day, not in a bad day, but however, you are here. And we have to accept the fact that that was written on the book for you in your journey, all right? So God said, in the midst of what you're going through, in the midst of what you're going through, Christine, there's a glory that's being written about you. There's a glory that's about to be revealed. Paul put it this way. He said, I reckon that the sufferings of this present time are not worthy to be compared to the glory. Now, you've gone through some stuff, right? We prayed with you, but nobody can tell it like you can tell it. But God is going to position you to tell it in such a way people are going to be convinced that in the midst of going through, God can still heal. God can still deliver, right? God can still manifest. I just need a few people to agree with me. So the earth shall be filled with the knowledge of the glory of the Lord, just like the waters cover the sea. Glory. I'm in a destiny, or I'm headed on a road called glory, all right? So this year, specifically this year, and I can't tell you, one of those times in the middle of the rise of COVID in our area, I found myself in this building walking around, and I just felt like something about this year is significant, not only to the legacy of this building, but to us as a people. And I stumbled upon this thing, and I just felt like this is about 100 years. This facility, this building that we're, not this sanctuary, but the rest of the building is about, well, it's 100 years plus now. So I got curious, and I began to just kind of search through the Word and figure out if there was some significance to the 100 years. And y'all just follow with me because I'm going somewhere different today. The 100 years, when I narrowed it down, represents the year of the fulfillment of the promise. Now, I'm going to take that. I don't know about you. I'm going to take that and run with it. The 100 years represents the fulfillment of that God has promised, right? You said, well, how did that happen? Where did you get that? Well, it started off in Genesis chapter 12 with a man, and the man was Abraham. And the destination for Abraham was a place called a land, all right? And if you have been with us any time now, this is some of what I call the signs that let you know you're in the right place. God starts removing stuff away from you that's familiar. All right. It may be family, it may be job, it may be home, it may be friends, it may be stuff. So Abraham has to go or be willing to go through a process called separation. When God separates, he separates to define. So when God removes stuff, it's not a punishment. God said, I'm about to define you. But what I'm about to define you with doesn't look like anything you ever seen before. So imagine 35, 36 years ago, a big Frisch's Big Boy, Italianette pizza, Skyline chili person like myself showed up here in the Metroplex. It was good when I got to Bloomington. But the further west we went, I got a little scared. All right? And little did I know that the destination was going to be the land. Now, when I drove up on it Sunday night about 9 o'clock, I was really disappointed. Because it did not look like it was holding any glory.
That's good, man.
When I drove up to the building, it looked like, that can't be a church. That can't be right. It doesn't, it's too far away. I told the farmers in our congregation, I didn't know what seed corn was, so driving up. And now, here's the synchronicity of what I'm saying. It was this season of the year. It was in the fall season, so I'm driving down Route 9, and there's all kind of corn, dead corn, dry corn, laying all over the place. And I said, oh, Lord have mercy, what is wrong with the culture of these people? It looks kind of raggedy, looks kind of dry, looks kind of dead. They must be lazy. And I'm going on and on. Excuse me, that's just what I thought. There must be some lazy people around here. They can't take the corn out of the field and on and on and on. Then I pull up into the building and I said, what in the world? Lord have mercy, Jesus. And I could hear my mother's voice. She said, we may not find you. And she was right, because street names went to street numbers. Then they went to nothing. And I said, well, let me get out of the car. And I came out of the car, and I came into this room, and that's when stuff started happening. And little did I realize that what I saw that night that just was trickling has now become an overflow. The glory that I saw dropping was God saying, and this is the destiny that I brought you here to fulfill. That you will teach people how to swim in the deep. I can't hear nobody up in here. All right, so where are we? So God takes this man through a season where he's separated from his country, from his kindred, from his father's house, and God said, unto a land that I will show thee. Now, what I'm liking about the text, the land was already there. He just had to get the right individuals. Right? The right individuals that not only knew how to work the land, but could see beyond the natural. So something in me was very challenged. They said, it's got to be more than this. Okay? That same night, they drove me out of town and hooked me up and laid me up in the house that we now own. I didn't know that was in the plan of God, but God did. It's like God come back later and said, I literally said, everywhere that your foot shall tread, I've given you for an inheritance. I didn't know it like that. Y'all not listening. I didn't know it like that. So I'm just talking about the depths of the riches and knowledge of God. It was unsearchable back then. But as I kept searching, God said, now this is what I was doing when you was complaining about what it looked like. Okay? In Deuteronomy chapter 12, but it says, but when ye shall go over Jordan, and dwell in the land which the Lord your God giveth you for an inheritance. So God was saying, I've given this to you for an inheritance. And I said, well, ain't much to it. Because I was looking at the wrong thing. See, Ephesians chapter 1 says that God wants to give us the spirit of wisdom and the revelation and the knowledge of Him so that our eyes can be enlightened, that we may understand the hope of His calling and begin to see that the inheritance is not in a land, the inheritance is in me. And when you take your rightful place, you can see everything that God has put at your disposal. I'm talking to somebody in the room. So what is this land? All right. If you keep reading in Deuteronomy chapter 12, verse 11 said, then there shall be a place which the Lord your God shall choose to cause His name to dwell there. Now that took some time. I mean, I had to get some stuff worked out of me. You had to get some stuff worked out of you. But we came, and I remember coming here on a Sunday night. Tuesday, I was going back to Cincinnati. I got back to Cincinnati. It's almost like I didn't fit there. And how could that have happened that quick? Well, I believe when you step into your destiny, everything about it becomes accelerated. So I was already gone before I left. So just that quick, I had found my place, and nothing else could take the place of where I now was supposed to fit. Yes. So God was fitly framing me into the fabric, even though I was still complaining about how it's going to happen. Anybody in the room? Still in the complaint mode. All right. All right. I got you. Now listen. So in Exodus 23 and 20, this is what I didn't realize. God said, behold, I send an angel before you to keep you in the way and bring you into the place that I prepared. So there were supernatural forces at work getting me down here. I didn't know that. Right? I just thought I got in my little minivan and drove on up here on a Sunday night because I just wanted to see what the big talk was about Mackinac. I didn't know there was angels assigned to me getting here because this was the place that God had prepared for me. I was too busy being scared. Right? So scared that I almost negated the plan.
Wow. That's good, man.
Wow. Okay, I'm here. You ready? So what was in the land that I did not see? Now, we found this out recently, okay? So y'all with me? So why here? It could have been anywhere. You know, I still have people say to me, it was just over the weekend. They said, did you ever think about, I was in Cincinnati with mother-in-law just a couple of days ago, and somebody walked up to me and said, did you ever think about going somewhere else? I said, yeah, many times. And, you know, I could have left it there, but I felt something in my spirit prompting me to say, and I did go. Said, why'd you throw that in there? Because I just want them to know that I put some action to my thoughts. Right. I tried to make it happen.
Yes, sir.
You know, only to be challenged by the Holy Spirit to say, you really don't believe what I said, do you? And then for him to say, and you can do this if you want to, but you will never see my faithfulness in what I said I was going to do. And something in me said, well, knowing it was going to be a crucifixion. But we're still here. So what is it about this place? Come on. People still joke about it. I was talking to some people coming from our conference in a few weeks. And they want to get cars. And I had to tell them, you know, GPS is not always reliable. Y'all know that, right? It might be a little bit better, but I know folk that have got lost using GPS trying to get over here. And I said, you know, that's wonderful, but you really need to kind of know the area a little bit, or at least ride behind somebody to make sure you get back to your hotel or something. Well, what's the point? You just don't get in your car and say, let's drive out to Mackinac. I mean, this was before the Mackinac Vineyard got there, Haynes on Mains, Area 52, Casey's, Dollar General, a deli in IGA, the depot. None of that was there, so there was nothing to draw you to. Oh, I'm sorry. We did have a spaceship up here, a house. You know, remember that? Some of y'all remember that? Up on Heritage Lake, there was a little, you know, lost in space spaceship, you know. But that was pretty much the attraction. When you showed people that, it's like, well, what else? No, the vineyard wasn't here yet. Yeah, Paul Hahn moved on Yorkshire after we got here, and then he kept saying, I'm going to plant a vineyard. I said, in Mackinac? In Mackinac? You know, Mackinac's a dry town. What I thought, you know. Mackinac's been wet for years. Anyway, what are you talking about? I'm talking about, I couldn't see it. And people came in and prophesied, well, the town is going to be known for the church. The town is going to be known by the ministry. One day the town is going to be changed, and all this, and on and on and on and on and on and on. And you know, some of the reason why I could not see external, because the mission or the assignment was an internal work that was going on to prepare us to see. So what is it about Mackinac? I guess you all know this. Before Pekin became the county seat was Mackinac. Did y'all know that? No. Mackinac actually had a jail. Didn't work, but they put somebody in there, they got out, but hey. They did. So Mackinac was the county seat of Tazewell County. All right? So the question was, what would make people come into Mackinac? Well, guess what we discovered as we searched out the matter? The land is uncomparable. There's a richness and a fertility in the soil that you can't find anywhere else. Do y'all know that? Huh? Yes? So there's something in the ground that makes it fertile. And then we discovered, one of the times we were up, not only is there something in the ground, there's a stream running underground, a lake, an aquifer that supplies area where we are all the way into parts of Indiana. It's under the ground. And it is supplying water for thousands of people. And it runs underneath us. So, I mean, now think about the mind of God. So I'm in Ezekiel chapter 47, and he's talking about these waters that proceed from under the threshold of God. And all of a sudden, after a season, trees appear. And then the trees appear, then fruit start growing on these trees. And the fruit that's growing on the trees is for the healing of the nation. So what if God is saying, I even spoke to the physical atmosphere to tell you about as the water keeps running in the church called Lily, about to become Judah. There's a water, there's a stream deep down in the ground. When people tap into it, all of a sudden they're going to realize their trees destined to bear fruit, and people are going to eat off the fruit of their tree, and their journey is going to be for the healing of the nations. Woo! Hey! When did you get all of that? It's been coming along the journey. And then somewhere in there, it's like I want to establish this place as a habitation for other church leaders and pastors to come and bring them. Come where? It's something about the grounds. They're healing properties. There's healing properties on the ground. Why? Because so much blood has gone into it.
Yeah. That's good.
Are y'all listening? There's been so many people that have come through. Now I'm talking about the facility. They have given their life. And I believe that God is not unrighteous to forget their labor and their blood and their sacrifice and their hopes and their dreams and their prayers are now down in the ground. And when people walk up, they feel like something's about to be birthed because something's already been given. There's a seed in the ground. What are you saying to us today? Well, I want to take you back to a clip about these trees, though, before we get there. We discovered along the way that not too far from us, actually in the town, just east of here, called Lily. I mean, Lily's not much of anything right now, but it was popping during the day. That there was a vineyard here that was United States known, called Lily Apple Orchard. Did y'all know that? Y'all looking like, we didn't know nothing about that. I mean, it was apples and pears, and all kind of succulent fruit that was well known all across the United States. Lily. And if you ever drove by the sign and decided to turn left or right, depending on which direction, you drove up in Lily, you said, where is it? Well, it was being fed by this underground aquifer.
Yes, sir. We listen.
Are y'all listening? Yes, now, why are you throwing up Lily? Because the church where we now sit, established in 1837, met in Lily before we brought this. Y'all not following me? I'm talking about history. So our church was established in 1837. And we're still here. Now, we've changed. We made some adjustments. It's much different than when it started. But the fact that our roots are just about 10 years after Mackinac was established. Tell your neighbor, you old, baby. What does that have to do with the mind of God, with the plan of God? Well, somewhere in that process, and just stay with me, all right, somebody decided that we needed a facility because there was a disease that was sweeping across the land. I want the revised one. There was a disease called tuberculosis that was coming upon the land. They didn't know a whole lot about it, other than it was spreading. Of course, them, like us, when you don't know what's going on, panic hits. Quarantine hits, separation hit. So they decided that outside of the Mackinac community, outside the area, that they would erect this building. And the building became the Oak Knoll Tuberculosis Sanatorium. And I'm going to give you the date for this just to show you how on target it is. That's what it looked like. You see the date down there? Hannah, that date should mean something to you. September 11th? All right. So that's what the facility looked like. And that is a clip of the open house ceremony that they were having that afternoon. That was the opening of Oak Knoll Tuberculosis Sanatorium. Isn't that something? So I didn't know this information when I was feeling we're coming up on about 100 years. Well, I believe it's about 101 years, right? All right. Now, I don't know this when I'm feeling like we need to stop and pause and celebrate just the fact that we have occupied a building that's over 100 years old. All right. Nobody's excited about that but me. Okay. Now you said, well, I thought you said 100 years represents the promise. These people died never having received the promise.
Don't play God. Don't play God. Don't play. Wow.
Next slide, please. They all died in faith. Imagine the people, the families that came through this building hoping for a cure, hoping for a remedy, hoping that at one point in their life they may go out and not only enter back into society, but hug the kids. Kids hug the grandparents, their mothers and fathers. Most of the people that came through here never left here. When you came here, you could go no further than the foyer. Any contact, we had people come by and said they would sit out in the yard and just talk to their loved ones through the window. I mean, so imagine what the communities around felt about this place if you went there, if you had to go there, if you had family there. It was like a death sentence. But those of us that are spiritual understand death produces life. They were persuaded of them. They embraced them. They confessed that they were strangers and pilgrims. And I believe that a lot of these people died in hope. Keep going. You need to see their faces. These are real. These are not conjured up images. These are real live patients of this facility. What you're looking at now is the entrance. They're sitting, it used to be a long porch there with steps leading down toward the circle drive. The circle drive was not there. And this was the porch. And you see, they're in bedclothes. They were not leaving. See them? Male and female. The southwest wing, that was the men's wing. This wing, the east north wing over here, that was the women's wing. Okay? Keep going. See the names that were added to this? I don't think we ought to forget that real people occupied where some of us are sitting right now. They played in this yard. This was the yard. They played in this yard. They walked these grounds because they couldn't go any further. The people on the bottom, they're sitting out almost near the sunken garden. Many ball games, many kickball games took place in that sunken garden. The bushes and trees that were down there were planted by some of these individuals in hopes of a brighter day. Keep reading. See it? You're looking at a glimpse up at the top. That's almost Fast Avenue that you're watching. It was a dirt road then. Fast Avenue was named after the Dr. Fast, who came here and lived upstairs with some of the nurses that attended to the patients in this facility. See the hospital beds? That's the chapel that you're looking at down in the bottom. You see how jam-packed they were? I mean, there was no private rooms. Right? Everybody was on top of one another. Keep going. Up on the top, that's not a part of it. There was a raincoat factory that was in Mackinac. So that was just some of the commerce. But you see the bottom? Okay, you're looking out of the chapel now through those windows. See all those beds in there? Keep going. Can you see hope on her face? Keep going. Keep going. All these, having obtained a good report through faith, received not the promise. God, having provided some better things for us, that they without us should not be made perfect. We are the answer to their prayer. We are here to keep hope alive.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Keep going. Wherefore, sin we also are compassed about with so great a cloud of witnesses. Let us lay aside every weight and the sin that doth so easily beset us, and let us run with patience the race that is set before us, looking unto Jesus. So we are the finishers of their race. What they could not finish and accomplish, God has given us the assignment.
Glory to God. Glory to God.
Now, isn't that just like God for the reputation of this building and the facility and all the people that were there to say, you know what? I want to plant something there called life as a beacon of hope, not only for the people coming, but for the community that just passed by and said, to see something that says, the dead can live again. Lord, have mercy. What we thought was an embarrassment and a shame is now become a beacon of hope and destiny for people that were not a people. Okay. So we got here. So God needed somebody. He needed somebody, needed a people that know how to work the ground. How to stay with it. How to stay with the stigma. How to stay with the pressure. How to stay against all odds. It won't work. It can't happen. And we got here. And we're here. So Lily Ministries then acquired this property through an auction in around 1979. And in the men's wing, that is the chapel, is where they were holding services until this was built in 1985. 2 years later, Bug Tussle from Cincinnati, Ohio shows up. And it happened. It was difficult. My son is here today. He can tell you how difficult those transitions were, because everybody was affected. And for 5 years, it was horrible. But we stayed, not knowing why we should stay. Thinking every opportunity, this is too much, this is too much, this is too much. 5 years. It wasn't until this week I said, it was almost 5 years to the date that something crashed in this ministry and something else was birthed again. It was August of 1992, 5 years later. I'm telling you, we're in the same season. All this was happening around the same time. 5 years later, a change happened in the ministry. All right? Well, what do you mean by that? Let me read some things, okay? Well, first an individual came, got on the plan of God, got here in the summer, fall of 1987. 5 years, and this is what I call those 5 years. It was a fitly framing of a person. 5 years. Tough. Whew. Unbearable. But we got here in 92, and by that time the Lord was starting to send individuals that let you know you were going somewhere. So when you hear me say, you will always know the potential of your destiny by the caliber of people that God sends to you. In those moments of hopelessness, God was sending individuals that say, I represent the fact that you're going somewhere. Here's one. Here's another. Here's another. They're all over this room. And God was sending. So I wanted God to speak to me, and God said, but I am speaking. I'm sending them. I'm sending good people into your life because they represent hope. They're here to remind you that your journey's not over. It's just beginning. Anybody in the room? How did that happen? And why would they come here? I don't know why these people, they were living in Bloomington. All right. Some of us here, they were living all the way in Peoria. We had people coming from upstate, Pontiac, upstate, Chicago, Burlington, Iowa. Why here? Because something was in the ground. Talking to somebody. Something was in the ground. Well, what did it look like? Well, after we spent about 2 years, what we call fitly framing, working on stuff like bylaws, constitution, all those kind of things that we felt like, wait a minute, this is so large, this is so big. Why is the pressure on us to keep looking at this thing, examining this thing, pulling this thing apart? We got a hold of attorney, high-powered attorney, said, listen, you need to put it in there. You need to dream, you need to write, you need to lay it out there, because there's going to come a day that you're not going to have this level of access. So we prayed, we done everything. And when we got through with this thing was over 100 pages long. I'm talking about vision.
Yeah. Vision. Yes.
And none of it was going on. And the Lord said, because you cannot work on the vision when it happens, you've got to dream it now, write it down now, lay the foundation, build the building, stretch it out now, and believe me to add to it. Well, he did it. With some costs. I don't know if I'm talking to anybody. I'm just trying to take you on a little stroll right now.
You're visionary, man.
So, listen.
It's good.
I think on one of your drawings, is it the next one? Is it the launch? Put it up. Let me see where we are. Yes, sir. Here we go. Hit the next slide. Let's see if we're there. Yeah. So the church was growing. We were looking at, okay, we need to expand. We need to build. So we got a hold of some architects down in Indiana called Myler Construction Company, and we wrestled with them for months because we said it was on us. Now, we didn't have that many people. We had that big of a dream. That expansion need to happen and trust God for the rest of it, but it was on us. It was so this is what it looked like. That hexagon structure was going to be the new sanctuary. And the building right next to it that looks like a rectangle, there you go. That was the 2-floor office building that connected to the front of the foyer. Okay, next slide. This is what it looked like on the current property. You see way back here to the right? Looks like a open horseshoe back here. That's the old building. Come over some more, Neil. Yeah, back. Come on, right. Come back some more. Come back, right. All that's the old building. So you came out the foyer, all right, and then you see what attached. There's your office complex, and there's your new hexagon, and all the rest of that, the current land, was going to be parking. So we was geared up. We were throwing money into this. We were ready to go. We had already went to the county, had zoning permits. We were, yeah. And the Lord said, there's still a seed in the ground. A seed in the ground. He said, yeah, so imagine when we were talking about, like a conversation we're having right now, we're talking about vision, we're talking about expansion, we're talking about bringing everybody up on the board, people finding their place, people finding the treasure, and all the stuff hitting on the inside of it to help us facilitate making this happen. And God said, well, what about the seed?
That's right.
The seed. Well, hit the next slide. Now, we didn't know this, but we had a Bible college going on there, seminary called METS. Any of y'all remember that? Yeah. Some of y'all went through some of those classes. Because we felt like everybody could not afford to go to a seminary. They couldn't leave the job. They couldn't leave town. They couldn't go overwhere for months at a time. So it was like God would say, but I've called you to train. I've called you to build. You've got the facility, you got the room. We can start this right here. So we named it Ministerial Excellence Training Seminary because everybody was a minister. Everybody needed to learn. Everybody needed to be taught. Right? So we're busy. So this was the vehicle through which we were teaching and training our congregation, right? So we were understanding we were a training center. We were a facilitator helping people find out what they were really supposed to do. They need some information. They need some knowledge. They need some relationship. And guess what? I found this out. Amos Peck. Keyboarding, computer basics. Now that's when that kind of stuff was hot.
Yes, sir.
Right? So I was just going through, and I've got a bunch of these. And look at the name, Joanne Dean, Kevin Patterson, apostle. Before I was apostle, I was pastor. Before I was pastor, I was dog. So I got all those kind of business cards. All right. So what I'm saying is, we were giving certificates of completion because we were looking forward saying, one day we're going to have these people certified. We're going to be sending them. They're going to be going out. They're going to be training the next group. And I mean, it was popping. It was flowing. It was growing. And this is just one of the classes that we were offering. So then this word came in the midst of all of that about the seed.
Yes, sir.
And everything halted. What do you mean halted? Because God is saying, but you got some others in the room that you need to put them in an atmosphere where they can find out what God is saying to them. And you need to get them as early as possible. So guess what happened next? Next slide, please. Ministerial Excellence Christian Academy, Mecca. Well, it was a branch right off the Bible college. So it was just a smaller level. And you talk about a struggle when that went on. The town of Mackinac got together and said, we've got to stop this school. Are y'all listening to me? I know we're online, but it happened. It's facts. We got to stop this school. And you say, well, what kind of school? Well, we were putting it together, trying to feel it out, and we were thinking it was going to take a while, take some stages, take a whole bunch of stuff to make this happen, and by that time, we were in relationship with my now brother-in-law, and he said, well, I got somebody that can come down and help you get this school set up. And what we thought was going to take months, in a matter of weeks, in a week, my wife had the school set up. She wasn't my wife then. She was in my destiny, but not yet. All right. So the school got started. So where are we going to put the school? We don't spend $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 in this first launch construction project. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? Well, somebody on board says we can go down in the ground. Because all of this was already studded up downstairs with a concrete floor, because there were studs and framework that was holding this floor up. And you went out of this into a dirt crawl space. They said, we can tear the back of that corner out, get a backhoe, pull all that dirt out of there, pour a new foundation, and the school could occupy this space. You been down there?
Yes, sir.
So in September, I believe, of 1994, the school started with about 70 students from K to 12th grade. There's one of them back there. He'll tell you about it in a minute. There's some graduates, people that have attended. Your kids have attended this school. And guess where they met? In those elders' offices across the room. Jam-packed, didn't they? The best time. And then the town said, oh, no, we have to stop this. Oh, my God, they're pulling our students. They're taking, we never got any money for the kids. Okay? But it's like, oh, no, they're a threat. And guess who spoke up for us? The principal of the high school in the meeting got up and said, we should celebrate that we have now an alternative to send our kids.
And they still coming.
And then he said, because they are doing what we will never do, teach God.
They coming.
Come on. All the teachers, instructors in the room that have in some way been involved in Mecca, Judah prepared. Just stand there. Anybody. Look around the room. They're still here. Still here. So the school was the beginning of the expansion of the vision that took place in a seed. So since the school's conception, all right, from 1992 to today, it's been 30 years, right? 30 years is connected to a particular task or calling, and this is what I found out. Aaron's sons were not dedicated to the priesthood until they were 30 years old. So something about this 30 year from 1992, 5 years fitly framed, plus another 30. Yeah. Got it? It's like God saying, now the priesthood is both physically, spiritually, and emotionally mature now to step in their rightful place. Jesus' ministry began at 30 years. John the Baptist's ministry began at 30 years. Ezekiel the prophet said he was in his 30th year when he saw heavens open. So it's something about this 30 years in my spirit that suggests that God has found us mature or good stewards over something and is now entrusting us with something else. So curious minds want to know. Y'all ready? So last year, the other side of me, the Wingfields, did not have their family reunion, all right? Last year would have been their 34th, and this would have been their 35th that I went to in May. Got me? So this one, they actually tagged it their 34th, but it's actually their 35th. So on the 35th anniversary of the Wingfield Family Society, y'all hear me? I said 35. Hit the next slide. Let me see where we're at. Oh, there we go, Sherry. Labor of love and sacrifice. Isn't that something? Oh, that is just so sweet. Who's they? All right, this is gonna be interesting. So by this time, I had moved out of the principalship, and Apostle was the principal. All right. Diane Stone and Joya Pummel were the administrators. Thank you. Oh, that's juicy. Keep going. All right. I know you can't read that, but let me tell you what happened on my 35th anniversary with the Wingfields. We're traveling through Hanover, Virginia. All right? And they're showing me all the property owned by the Wingfields. Well, on the Wingfield property in Hanover, Virginia, is a school called Oak No. Wait a minute. I don't know if y'all can zoom in that. Oak No Middle School on Wingfield property. Now, I don't think that's a coincidence that a Wingfield is sitting in a school on Oak No. I don't think you can make that stuff up. Had I not gone in the 35th year, I would have never known that there was something in the ground in Hanover that speaks to where we are right now. Anybody? I just wanted to, somebody want to scream with me right there? Just. Now, I called the wife. I said, "You're not going to believe this. That this school sitting on Wingfield property, wait a minute, there's a Wingfield Cemetery behind the school still. So that school is built on the history, on the blood of people in my family that have lost her, and so is this facility. But then when I saw they named it Oak Knoll, I said, wait a minute.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now, so in the 34th year is when I officially added Wingfield to my name. Y'all got it now. So it's like God was saying, I'm tying these pieces together without you realizing it so that you could understand that you've got an inheritance there and here that I was setting up before you knew what to do. Got me? Next, I thought that part was good. That was just that was free. So, Nets became Elam. It was empowering leaders in ministry.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and by that time we were offering courses like this outside of our church. Okay, so that's why you see that Judah International Ministries was now hooking up with Elam, and we were offering this course description. It was fat, it was juicy. I mean, we were rolling. We began to understand that the seed was not just our children, it was children's children. It was people in ministry all across the United States. At that point, we were touching both coastlines. We still are. That was the seed. Keep reading. All right. And I think that says 2016. This is when we applied to the IRS and to the state where we legally changed the name of Mecca to Judah Preparatory Academy, okay? And that's the letter we drafted in to make sure that we hit the proper assigned FEN number. So we have tried to take the legal steps along the way. Y'all with me? Okay, what's next? Okay, y'all ready? So, there's the west-south wing of the building, what we know as the chapel, is probably the oldest section of the building that has had the least renovation. Okay? There's bathrooms down there that have been unoperable for years. They may have been working when I first came, but all that was shut down. The actual chapel itself is on a crawl space. You have to lay on your back to get underneath there. Everything about that side of the building has been a nightmare, especially since COVID. Cujo and his uncles and brothers have done more havoc to tear up that side of the building. All right? The upstairs, with the exception of the chambers that the hospitality use in chamber studios, is pretty much vacant. All that's open now. And most of the renovation has been on this side of the building. There's nothing else we can do with the south side but tear it down. The cost to repair that, if we would take you on a tour down there, you would probably wrap around the kitchen and say, well, this is not bad. Well, if we open up that basement door and showed you Nellie, Nellie was here when Jesus came. Nellie was the old boiler system that heated this whole facility. Nellie's been dead for years, but she is so big and so massive and so asbestos wrapped, we dare not touch it without some remediators coming in and helping us to remove it. They may not remove it. They might just dig a hole and drop her down into the ground. Okay? We will eulogize her too. Okay? But that whole side of the building is where we have the most water damage. Water seeps in from that basement. Again, we're talking about a 101-year-old structure. Okay? And to our staff that has helped us keep the hope alive, we have maintained to the best of our ability. We really have. All right. Yeah, we have. I mean, faithful, that's Elder Kendall's era, faithfully just been trying to keep it up, keep it going, keep it going, tape it, Band-Aid it, replace it. I mean, and the Lord has brought us along the way with such good favor with some people that just love us. I mean, So it's time. And when I say time, that there is a cry for us to have more working, functional room in this facility to house the seed and everything that God has called us to minister to. A lot of our building is multi-purpose. Okay, the chapel at one point during the winter has been the gym. Okay, it's our reception area. It's been our wedding reception area. In times we've had to flip out the sanctuary and do the whole wedding, the whole reception. It's on and on and on and on. We have senior center. We have all kind of things going on right now. And I think it's time to go back and look at that drawing that we did, that we were preparing for with that Myler Construction Company, and say, we need to do something new altogether.
Yes, sir.
But it's time to build. Okay, so here's what it looks like. And outside we have staked for you. If you want to go out, I'll be glad to take you out and just show you what we have staked. The red area is the existing building. This piece up at the top here, that's the old bathrooms that we're just using for storage right now. Those bathrooms actually had showers in it because the setup was nice, just the tools were old, even right now. If you try to fix something in this building, you do better going, crawling away all the way up the Fast Avenue, laying a whole new pipe and running it back because the stuff is so old. My office used to be right here where the bookstore was. I'd be sitting there one day reading some books, and all of a sudden some suds start filling up behind my desk. And I said, where is that coming from? Well, we took the paneling off the wall, and behind it was a clean out. It had a wooden cork in it, okay? And it just, over time, just rotted out. And LZ or somebody must have been washing clothes upstairs, and all of a sudden, all the suds was down in my office. I mean, if you go through, there's probably not a square door anywhere along these rooms. So outside of the solariums, each one of the offices on this wing and that wing were patient rooms, okay? The front part of those rooms were added later so that they could put dual occupancy in those rooms, and sometimes 4 people in those rooms. But this red section, again, is the old section of the building, all right? That's the proposed addition. So the sanctuary part of that, so let me see. You got your arrow there for me, Jeff? Come down to the existing foyer. It's over in the center of the building. That's right. And move left. Okay. So from that wall, you can bring it all the way out. Yep. Come down. Yep. Then over. Right there, that kind of square right there that's got the funny doorway, that's the new entrance to the new facility. Okay? And you step in that, you're in the foyer. So what is you see the double black line, Jeff, up there, connecting the existing foyer to the addition? All that's coming out. So when you step in that foyer, you're going to be looking into an open space for administration area and the backside of the administration offices that will be down there. Looking into the sanctuary, the proposed sanctuary is 1.5 times this size. This was built to hold 400. That's built to hold 600.
Yes, sir. And we can't do it.
So what's going to happen with this? Well, this is going to become the fellowship area. All the elder offices are going to be redone. That's going to become the overflow for hospitality for everything that y'all store upstairs now. It's going to be right across the hall. All right. To the back of this now, it would be then just, all that area back there are 3 floors, 2 floors plus a basement. That's all the administration offices stacked. Classrooms, teaching room, offices, and then we're going to lower it all the way down to the kitchen level and make storage areas so people can just drive up and get stuff for the food pantry and make their way back out.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Yes, sir. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus. Yeah, that's right. That's right. All right. So the actual, this back wall, Sir Jeff, all the way, yeah. Nope, come back. There. No, come back. The dark line, all the way to your left side. All that would be the front of the pulpit area. So you'll be looking southwest. If you were seated, you'll be looking southwest out of the sanctuary. Ooh, the whole, we'll leave that alone. All right. So From the exterior. Next slide, please. That's what it looks like. This was done by Darius Boyd, this rendering. And when I saw it, I think he did an excellent job preserving the character and the look of the existing facility. All right? We left the circle drive there, but where you see the name, that's your foyer leading over into the sanctuary. See Judah International Ministries there? All that's your open foyer, and those are, they're lights in our new sanctuary. They're windows in our new sanctuary. Next slide, please. And this is a little close up from the ground what it looks like walking in. So all that you see that's the brown, all that's glass. Now, you ready? So, we are in negotiations now with an architect firm, and they are shooting a range of prices to us. And the most expensive, of course, is them taking it from the beginning to the end and putting everything in it that we need. And what they don't know is that we have people here that have ability to build. There's a lot that we can do on our own once it's shelved and covered up, right? We know how to do some things, so that's going to kind of ease the price and give us some time to do it. And what they're communicating is that once we get this torn down and we're actually rolling, it's not going to take very long for us to have that up. So it is possible that if we start this project by the beginning of next year, by the end of next year, we'll be in that. Now, if you want to write me a check right now, I can assure you we're going to win. But this is what it looks like. I'm believing we're somewhere. I think I've got, Jeff, I've got some kind of projection. This is what we need. Now, before I break this down, let me tell you what's already have happened. We have been meeting with our Safar team and with our Barnabas group. They are individuals that are skilled in articulation communication. There are also individuals that are familiar with investments, grants, monies, funds, and let me tell you what I'm feeling in my heart, then I will echo some of the things that they're saying. We're going to have so much more than enough. We're going to have to say, we're going to have to just put this back in the bank for a while because we have completed everything in phase 1, 2, and 3 already. That's what I think we're going to have a repeat of the building of the temple. Tell the people that we ain't got no more room for all the stuff they're bringing. Okay, all right. When we got done with that meeting, our people outside of our house, and I want you to hear this, we're talking about outside of our congregation, said, we need to put something in the ground immediately, right now, because that's how much we believe that we're called to help you do this. They have already gone before us and put a challenge out to a lot of our covenant family churches and asked them if they will individually give $10,000 towards this project. You listening? We already have over $10,000 right now, just from the conversation on the telephone. That wasn't good enough. I think we can do better than that. Now, you may not have $10,000. All right? But what they're saying to us, we believe that God has so favored you and favored us. We want to build this debt free. Right? We don't want you to have to borrow anything. We're going to help you raise the money so that you're not carrying this debt. All right. So listen. If 200 people gave me $5,000 before the year's out, we're at $1 million. Just that quick. All right. You say, well, what's the building going to cost? We're figuring somewhere between $2 and $3. $2 or $3 million is what's going to cost to do what we need to do. All right. So let's say if we were able to do that. Now just thinking. If we had somebody to come and say, listen, I'll carry the whole expense for the project if you can show me something where you're going to have this money in 3 years. Okay? So if somebody would say, listen, I'll carry the whole $3 million debt if you will show me something that says you're going to attack this debt in 3 years and have it gone. I believe that the Lord has brought us into favor with individuals just like that. So imagine now if we over the next, I'm talking about, this is not delaying the building. This person's going to give us all the money up front. We're going to pay them back $1 million a year. And that's just with 200 people giving me $5,000. All right? But what if 200 people gave me $10,000, like our covenant churches? Well, we're at $2 million. Now, we know a lot of people. I mean, so this is what's being said to our covenant churches. You all have been here. You've tasted. You know what has happened to you. You know what life-changing situations have been adjusted and healed and ministered to just by being on the grounds. And they're all in. They're just waiting for me to send the letter, send the document, send a clip, and tell them where to write the check to. So I'm telling you on the telephone, the people on that phone call that heard it said, I'm sending money right now. And immediately we hit $10,000 in the ground already. Envelope. It's called the launch, and this is a pledge form. It says, I would like to make a meaningful pledge towards the Judah Building Project. The total pledge is going to be this amount, paid over the next month or year. I will give a one-time gift. I will give stocks and bonds. I've got a life insurance policy. I've got some money coming. I just need you to take this, fill this out for you and your household, and say, this is what we're able to do. Now listen, this is just us trying to get into the door and get a feel for, because the people that are wanting to help us says, I want to know what you're able to raise. They're trying to get a pulse on how committed the house is to this project. Well, here's my $10,000 from me and my wife right here. We gonna be first. This ain't bragging. I'm just telling you, I'm not going to ask you to do what I'm not willing to do myself. So we're already in. Okay? So if you're able, I need you to add your faith to this. This is a faith journey. This is a faith walk. You say, well, I ain't got that. It's not the amount. It's you turning your heart toward the project, because I believe that God is going to move and accomplish what we need. So we need to start negotiating and say, we're on board. Start your drawings. It's going to take up 3 or 4 months to get all our working drawings, all that stuff in order, so that we can say by the time weather breaks next year, tear it down. I'm going to be out there with my hammer. Woo, Lord have mercy. Okay, all right. So here we go. People are writing. Listen, I'm going to put these forms in your hand. I want you to think about it. Don't jump out, because I'm a firm believer that you have to have sufficient to finish it. Think about it. Pray about it. Ask God about it. Amen. And we are ready to roll. Now,